Hey, what's up, everybody? Cheers. Welcome to another episode of the Analytical Eye Show. You know who it is. It's your boy, Javier. Thank you for joining me for another episode. Technically, this will be the official episode back. I gave you kind of a welcome back, but this will be the official episode back because now we're really going to get into some nitty gritty discussions and things that we need to be talking about, things that I've been feeling and experiencing and things like that, and so cheers. Without further ado, cheers. You know how we do it. We always got to cheers before we start our conversations. Today is just water. Sometimes, and forgive me, I got my dogs and stuff. So if you see me, y'all seen before. If you've seen the other episodes, me have to pop off and cuss at them or whatever like that. Just what I do. So for some reason, ever since I've gotten back in from just walking them, they've been on a rampage, and so trying to do this and make sure my house is good, that's a whole nother story. But yeah, like I said, that's just water. Sometimes as y'all know, I'll do actual wine or do Alizé, mix it with something else, juice or something, or do some hypnotic or something. I vary, but today it's water. I have an audition coming up, so I'm trying to drink a lot more water for my vocal cords for the audition that I have to. Praying to God that I get. So I'm hoping, this will be my first audition, and honestly, this will be my actual first real audition. I mean, I've auditioned for school stuff, but technically it was just more like begging, and then like trying to, so nobody really fully correction. I did audition for the school, for the Wiz in school, and I did get that role. But when it came to the other plays and things that I've done throughout my high school career, was more just about not begging, but like I would just say I'm interested and they'll put me in because they know I'm very artistic and creative. So this would be but industry wise, this would be my first live in person audition. I've done casting tapes and sent those in, and things like that and callbacks, but this would be my first live audition. I wasn't fully invested as I was before. A couple of years ago when I actually was doing audition tapes and stuff, I didn't take it as serious as I thought I would or should or could. But I'm really taking it serious now because not just because I'm finally graduated with my degree, but it's because I have more time to develop and and train and do things for myself, for my career. Because one of my goals is to act. One of my dreams is to act. I've been doing it pretty good, but I know there's always room for improvement. I always find new ways to learn things. So that's coming up. So I'm doing that and try not to yell at the dog so much and rest my voice and try to be calm as much as possible because I'm a little nervous. It's been about 4 or 5 years since I've actually acted, or done anything fully creative. I've done, or meaning in front of the camera. I've done, besides this and some school projects and things like that where I may have had to be in front of the camera. It's not a lot that I've done recently, so I'm a little nervous. So just keep me in your prayers. But today we are going to just talk about exhaustion, just exhaling from being exhausted. I guess that's what you can call this episode. What I've usually done with the last last season to now of trying to, if you notice, I would tell you at the end of each episode, okay, next week I'm gonna talk about this and that. I hate kind of giving you that way because then you know what to expect. But then again, sometimes I was trying to do that to plan ahead. But honestly, from this point, I can't do that because I just gotta get in this front of the camera and just talk to you about what I am thinking and feeling at that moment. And like I said, as this season starts to progress more into the third season and fourth and fifth and sixth and seventh, eighth, so forth and so on, because we'll be doing this continuously. I'm not gonna ever stop this show. I want to add in a new segment, and I have a name for it, but from an idea from another podcast, the podcast I really love. but I want to see how to arc it first. Um, but I want to talk about just being exhaling from exhaustion. Um, right now, I'm not in a good headspace. Let me just tell you that. To be honest with you, that's the reason why I'm kind of in my mode right now. In my mode and in my mood, because I'm exhausted, y'all. Um, I'm exhausted. Today is one of those days that it's just exhaustion has hit me. When I was looking back at the previous episode I did for like welcoming back myself to the show and things like that, I can tell in my eyes I was exhausted, and I can tell in a lot of the episodes I've been exhausted, and not putting my best foot forward in this show. Um, my dogs procreated and had puppies when I was working 16, 17, 18-hour days at TSA and trying to do school, but then I let school fall by the wayside and stopped going to school, and then I re-entered and finally finished, and now I'm in the master's program and I feel like I'm just sluggish. I'm taking care of the dogs, trying to find employment, trying to do auditions and acting, getting behind the camera and build my business. Grandmother just got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. My mom is not doing good with her vision and her health issues. My sister's not doing good with her issues from past relationships and current situations and health issues wise. My other sister is not doing good as far as her relationship's concerned, and her kids are, she's a single mom and working all these hours. And going back home was very, very, it was very stagnant, complacent for me, and I hate complacency, meaning the feeling of being just stuck. Like going back, it wasn't that there was nothing there for me. It was just that I didn't have nothing built, and what happens with my family affects me, but I've distanced and not necessarily isolated myself, but compartmentalized myself into my own box of my world that excludes them. And anytime I feel the need that I have to involve them in this aspect of my life, I feel like I don't want to. And it's nothing personal. It's just something that I have to overcome, trust and things like that. But today is just one of those days where it's like that, and I'm exhausted, I'm worn out, but it mainly the stuff that's going on with my grandmother does affect me, but it's not necessarily that. For me, I am, I've been struggling financially for so long, as a college student, relying on government financial aid to just help with schooling. Didn't know that there's actually living expenses tied into that. Nobody ever told me that until now. So now I'll have a little bit more financial help. The thing that, and let me say this, there's people out there that are probably like, oh, really, you're 23 and you're exhausted? Really? Come on now. You don't know nothing about work. But I can agree with you on that. I shouldn't be this young and be this tired. But there are people that have had to, like me, that have had to grow up a lot sooner than I would have liked to. I started working at 16, working at Walmart, then working at Home Depot. Then I went to Walgreens, and then I went to Home Depot. Then I moved down here. Then I took a pay cut, and I moved with only $500 in my pocket, booked my flight, booked everything, didn't have a place to stay, full school was almost set up, but not just yet, didn't have a job, nothing. And then within a month, I started working at Popeyes. Then I went to Bass Pro. Then I went to Target. And then I started doing this commission-based gig with a company that was contracting with T-Mobile, and that didn't really work out well. It only lasted like a month in the midst of doing all that. And then after Target, I went to being with this restaurant called Pollo Tropical. Let me say it my way, not the way that it's supposed to be pronounced, because I can never get it right. And working alongside that, full-time, alongside Big Lots, mostly full-time, and then part-time at Ross. Then dropped those and then moved to TSA and doing Ross part-time, but then that didn't work out, and I was trying to do school and figure all that out in the meantime. So for about a good couple of months or so, I had 3 jobs and school trying to make ends meet. Still wasn't working, and this was excluding the dogs. Hey, stop it now. Sorry, y'all. I'm told you I'm in a funk right now. I'm not, these dogs. Whew, they testing my patience. Um, but just, and the one biggest thing that's weighed on me is financially everything. Then inflation happens. And when I started working at TSA, I got a car, so that added an additional 2 bills. That's a car note and insurance and gas and any issues I've had there. Then you have a AAA bill because you want AAA to make sure that's there. I've had to replace my, my radiator. I've had to replace my pump on my car. It's like, I think, the water pump or whatever that regulates how much is filtered to the radiator so that the radiator doesn't fry and get damaged and your car starts overheating. I've had to deal with engine overheating. I've had to deal with changing the oil. I have to change the brakes and the rotors and the tires all within a year of having this car for this last, what now about to be coming up on 2 years in 2024 January. Like, dealing with constant eviction after eviction notice after eviction notice. Not eviction, but the threat of eviction, even during COVID, dealing with that. Just never getting, and then also, I didn't even mention the fact that I was working from home at one point in time too, during COVID. Like, I've this constant battle of, and the reason why I've had so many jobs, especially being down here in my college career, is because not everybody's willing to work with the school that I have. Full Sail is not a regular college, so they don't and they don't have dorms. You have to live off campus, and you have to provide your own way of living. The only thing that could be potentially paid for is your school. And just the battle. And I don't want this to seem like a vent session or like I'm just throwing irritation at y'all, because that's not what y'all came here for. I'm just letting you know some of the things I have been going through. I've kind of covered it up, but I realized that it wasn't helping and I wasn't being authentic enough to me. Not to y'all, because I have to be first that to me, then I can be to y'all. And it just pissed me off, it's crazy to me that this is my reality, and I'm very appreciative. Hold on one moment. I had to grab my lip stuff because my lips are getting dry. But when I exhale, I don't exhale for a lot of times because of relief. I'm exhaling because just signs of exhaustion, pure exhaustion. And then but then you think about it, and there's a lot of things that I have that I've allowed to basically I've allowed to stay on my plate, like the dogs. 7 dogs. Come on now, that's not healthy. Downsizing from a 2-bedroom to a 1-bedroom for financial reasons, and dealing with issues there. Being then you find yourself potentially in a relationship with someone, and then dealing with the navigation of just, are you guys going to stay friends or not? But I won't delve too much into that because that pertains me and my boo, and that's our business. But there's just a lot of things in my life that I feel that are just starting to become stagnant. And I've arriving down here, I had a goal and a set mission in my mind for school, but I realized I needed a foundation because I was coming off of a rocky foundation that was been rocky for the last 17 years of my life, 18 years of my life. And I didn't want to continue on that road. So for the last 5 years, I made it a mission. Okay, I'm going to get my place. Okay, I'm going to get me furniture in there. And I'm not going to get the cheap furniture off of Amazon or Target or whatever, or Walmart or whatever. I'm going to actually get real furniture. I'm going to get an actual nice sofa. I'm going to get an actual dining room set. I'm going to actually get a nice bed set. I'm going to build a nice themed bathroom, build a nice themed living room, get a credenza with a fireplace, get flat screen TVs, get washer and dryers for myself, get a surround system, build a comfortable, suitable house for me that I like. And I realized that was a distraction. It was, I sat on here and I talked about don't support, and that's one thing I have to readdress that I realized I did wrong, because I felt like now thinking about it and rewatching a little bit of it, felt like I was not promoting black businesses, and stating, oh, don't support, because I had mentioned Beyonce and Michael Jordan and stuff, talking about stop spending, overspending. But I meant overspending in the sense, if you don't got the money, if you're not living within your means, stop acting like you are living within your means when you're really not. Live within your means where you are financially, and be honest with yourself. And that's one thing that I have grown accustomed to not doing. Now, do I have credit cards? Yes. Do I owe money on those? Yes. But I make the payments and my credit is good. But I have been lost for a long time, and I'm trying to find my way. I feel like, honestly, since 2015, when I turned 15, I have been lost through a lot of the turmoil within my teenage life to adulthood. I feel that within this society right now, I saw something on Twitter, I think it was, and it was like a post, or it may have been on Facebook, where it said in the 1960s, 1970s, a father could be, I think he said, the post said a garbage man, and he can afford to have a wife and 3 kids and a car and a house and be good. But now we live in a day and era where I'm watching My 600-Pound Life, and I see that their rent in 2018 was $850, and now rent in some of the states that they were filming in, i.e. one of them being Texas, I think during that time, 2017, 2018. And now rent is $1,600 for a one-bedroom. I pay $1,540 for my apartment, regulated for the water, so that based on your usage. I also pay for water and sewage and trash, not water, sewage and trash, and I also have valet trash. So altogether, my rent comes up to about $1,650 a month, and that's just rent alone. That doesn't include my phone bill. That doesn't include internet. That doesn't include the lights. That doesn't include my gas, my car note, and it doesn't include my insurance, and it just raised my insurance. So if you truly think about it, without my credit card bills, which I just pay at least $50 per month on that, paying it off and build my credit, you're looking at, I calculated it, flat fee. My bills come out to $3,000 a month. I was working at TSA 40 hours when they cut our hours, 40 hours, because the government wanted to do this whole new pay increase thing. I was doing just 40 hours. After taxes, my checks were coming out to $1,200 every 2 weeks. That's, what is that? $2,400 a month. I'm $600 shy per month of that. Robbing Peter to pay Paul. Doing this, and I'm 23 years old. And I hold some resentment to my parents. When I say parents, I mean my mom, because technically my dad, I don't call him my dad. I call him by his name, which is Irwin, because he was never really a father or a dad to me at all. Still isn't, But I love my mom because I know she did her best. But I feel like there's some resentment I hold there, because I feel as a child, I feel as a parent, before you start actively engaging in sexual encounters where you may end up pregnant, you should be thinking about, hey, okay, if I am not going to be taking this birth control, if I'm not going to be requiring him to wear a condom, we're going to be having sex, I need to think about, okay, if I get pregnant, do I have a college plan saved up for that boy? Even if he didn't want to go to college, do I have a financial stability where I can not only pay the bills, have money saved in my account, but also saved for not just bills, but for money in my account for a rainy day, and a savings account, and a college fund for him, or a life fund for at least the first 2 years. I didn't have none of that. You know what I'm saying? I barely, by the skin of my teeth, made it to college. Luckily enough, Full Sail, I literally say Full Sail to people. Full Sail fell in my lap, and I think I may have said that here, but Full Sail really fell into my lap, because even in my high school year, I was dedicated to really, I knew I had a plan, I knew what I wanted to do, but it was a hard struggle to even get me the energy to want to fill out applications and write these essays for college. I'm like, I don't want to do all that. I didn't want to do that. But luckily enough, full stuff fell on my lap, and I'm here, and I was excited. And I'm still excited, but I've been worn out, and I'm in a pit of just being stuck. A little bit emotional, a lot emotionally, but a lot more even financially, which affects me emotionally. Sometimes I'd be like, okay, am I depressed? Could be. One thing I try to do is self-therapize, if that's a word, like basically therapy. I try to talk myself. I look at myself in the mirror, and I want to force myself to cry, just to like, come on, just cry it out. Then sometimes I just want to break that damn mirror, but I then remember I have to pay for it if I do, because it's not mine and I own it. And I don't want 7 years of bad luck. Not that I believe in that, but you never know. With my life operates, who knows? But I try to make sure that I'm not being ungrateful and acting like I don't have blessings, because there are people out here that are dying. There are people out here that are going through way more turmoil, like my grandmother. And then here I am sitting up here talking about, are you serious? You complaining because you're struggling a little bit, you're struggling financially. But then again, I have to look from my perspective. These are the cards that I was dealt. But I also have to be careful what I ask for, because when I prayed to God and I said, God, please allow me, I would do anything possible to have my own place and keep it. Well, God blessed me with it. And to be honest with you, I prayed and asked for that a little too early. But I'm here and I can't back down from the fight, and I'm not going to. I feel like I was saying, within this society, inflation's just got so out of control that we don't even help out our own. Like Tupac said, we got money for wars but can't feed the poor. I can't get basic financial assistance for rent, but we can send money off to another country, i.e. Biden, to fund wars. But what about us? You can sign a $27 billion aid package for them. But what about the aid package for us? You know what I'm saying? Yes, forgiveness, student loans is, that's a big bark. But one thing we also need is housing assistance, and I have no, and honestly, it's like, well, why don't you get a roommate? But my financial state would never it still won't be the same. And I love my privacy. You guys don't know how much it feels to walk in the house, and even though it may be the dogs, even before then, walk in the house and it was dead silence. Or I can walk in the house and just get stripped butt ass naked, or have sex with my boo anywhere, however we want to, without nobody saying something. I tried to help out one chick and that didn't go over well. The police had to get called. I don't even want to talk about it. But I am exhausted from the exhaustion. When I exhale, it's for exhaustion. It's not a relief. And something that's we've got to work on. I remember my doctor when I was about, I want to say, probably 12 or 13. His name is Dr. Sequel. Brilliant man. Really don't know him that deeply. But I remember at one point, because my mom suffers from she suffered from bipolar depression. I don't know if she still does, but I know she was bipolar depression, and she was also manic, I think. And she has her own trauma that she deals with, and she has her own therapist. And kudos to my mom. She's a black woman she has I think a psychologist. I think it is, because there's counselors, there's therapists, and then there's psychologists. I think she actually has a psychologist, just from all of the childhood trauma she's gone through with my grandmother. Especially growing up in the deep south of Texas. She has a lot of childhood trauma. I mean, seeing alcoholism, verbal and physical and I think even sexual assault just happened around her. And I don't know about to her, but not to tell her business. Not to tell her business, but then also to deal with um, the loss of my grandfather, which is her dad, 10 years before I was born. To dealing with her own health issues, to seeing her uncle his shoulder being shot off with a 12 gauge shotgun and having to drive him to meet the ambulance halfway because they lived off in the boonies in no man's land just to get him to the nearest hospital to save his life. To seeing just death happening all around her, she's going through her struggles. But my mother has a psychologist, and she's seeing help. And so I remember at a young age when I was just going through, just being I feel like I was being very unhappy just in that recent time. And the doctor asked me, he was like, well, how are you doing? I said, I'm doing okay, but I just feel really unhappy. Now he gave me a prescription, and I think I still have that prescription, but I never got it filled because I was working at Walmart at the time. No, correction, now it started to come back to me. I was not 13, I was 16. And at that time, that's when a lot of turmoil was starting to happen in my teenage years. And once I got my first job, I felt like the weight of what my mom and my sister, and I was thinking about this the other day, because I need to tell you this. My stepdad died in 2019. It's like 2 days before my birthday, I think. Now, I say he's my stepdad, but really, I have to call him like an associate stepdad or something. I could give him a special title because he never really fathered me. You know what I'm saying? Because not only was he technically, he was only 10 years older than me, or definitely probably 10, 15 years older than me. He was very not that much older than me because he was half the age of my mom. He didn't raise me. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things in my life have been people not just telling me what to do and showing me what to do, but showing me what not to do in spite of what they're doing. And that's how I raised myself. I give my mom the credit where credit's due, but I did a lot of the heavy lifting. And I give myself a lot of credit. And that's one thing I would never want for my child or children. But I told the doctor, I said, I'm not feeling well. He said, well, how have you been feeling lately? And you go through kind of the spill. He said, well, okay, I'm going to write you this prescription for medication. I want you to try it out. And I remember I was walking to to Walmart where I was working my first job at the time. And it was cloudy that day. I can't remember. I think it was actually like summertime, but it wasn't raining or anything. It was just cloudy that day. And I was walking up. And I was just on the phone, and I think it was actually kind of windy that day, and I was talking to my oldest sister, and I said, well, Latrice, he just prescribed it to me, and then we were kind of talking about how my mom is affected by the medicine and stuff like that, and at the time, I think, around that time, she just had a brain surgery, and I was telling her how mom has changed, yada, 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 and then that's when I told my sister, about the prescription. She said, well, maybe you shouldn't try it, because remember, once you try it, you become, not just try it, but once you get on it, your body gets dependent on it. You're basically dependent on this little thing, this little pill to make you happy. And if you don't take it, you are irate and just not right. And I was like, fuck, you know what, you're right. I don't want a pill to tell me how to regulate something that I want to naturally know how to do. You know what I'm saying? Because there have been those stories where people, and there's people, now, let me say this. There are kids, there are young teens, young adults, older adults, elders that need to be on medication for their depression to help them out, because honestly, that is an option. But I also believe in the option of talking to a therapist. A lot in this black community, we talk about, hey, black people don't do therapy. And that's just from a lot of emotional and physical and mental trauma that white supremacy has set forth in front of us. You know what I'm saying? And we don't believe in talking to motherfucking strangers about that we don't even know about our problems. Like, what you gonna do to help me? Like, you know where I've been. Like, you know where I'm at in my position and where I am right now. How you do you even know how I feel? You know what I'm saying? And it's hard to find people that can relate to you, especially finding people with your same skin tone color, which means melanin, that you can relate to. Because sometimes it ain't even about the fact that have you been in my shoes before, have you been sexually assaulted like I've been, or have you been mentally or physically abused or whatever like that, like I have been. It's sometimes it's about you just bring the color of my skin and I feel comfortable talking to you, brother to brother, sister to sister type of thing, or brother to sister, sister to brother, whatever, you know, however you want to call it. You know, I mean, she was like, you know, well, you shouldn't be, you don't want those to be, like I said, she said you don't want to be dependent on that, you know, because, you know, you don't, you know, it's not healthy to have a pill for you to be dependent on, and you're still young, you know, and and it can change your mind too. And say, for example, one day you stop taking it, then you can just basically flip a bitch, flip the script on somebody. It's like bait and switch, night and day. You know what I'm saying? You don't want that. And I said, you're right. Now the thing is I was hesitant about taking it. I'm like, but I didn't really give it too much mind. But I just mentioned to my sister Latrice, and she really gave me that mindset. I said, you know what, you're right. Sorry, my dog, Hazel. It's okay, puppy. You're just having puppy dreams. It's okay, girl. She's pregnant. That's when it's pregnant right here. So she's, you know, puppy dreams. But she said, you know, so after she telling me that, I said, you're right, you know, and I started thinking, and I didn't go get the prescription. I didn't even think about it ever again. And then as I got older, I was just like, you know what, I made that right decision. I'm glad I didn't, because I want to feel all the feeling. If I am depressed, I want to feel all of that. If I'm angry, I want to feel all of that. If I feel like fighting, I want to feel all of that. If I feel like cussing, I want to feel all of that. If I feel happy, I want to feel all of that. And I ask myself, Javier, even if I don't come out and just, because I talk to myself. Now, a lot of people, like, if you have a conversation with yourself where you're replying back, nothing's wrong. I don't find that a problem. Now, I usually just talk to myself, but I'm not replying to myself. So I don't be like, how you doing, Javier? Oh, I'm doing fine, Javier. I don't do that. But ain't nothing wrong with that either. Doing a self-check-in, a love connection with yourself is imperative. And like I said, some people need medication. But then some people don't need medication, and they need therapy or counseling or psychologist help will do that. Sometimes just taking a walk, writing out in a journal, you know, venting to someone, having that friend or whatever. Sometimes it's just talking is more healthier than actually depending on something to regulate your chemical imbalances. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times we blame it on that science. A lot of times it's easy to just blame it on that chemical imbalances from the studies and stuff that are proven. But sometimes it really, that chemical imbalance, I feel sometimes is a mental thing. You know what I'm saying? That's the chemical imbalance. But it is true. You know, there are scientifically, and I'm not knocking the science, there are scientifically proven things of chemical imbalances that affect your happiness, mood, your mood swings and things like that. That is true. I'm not knocking the medicine and stuff, but I'm just saying with white supremacy, and I go to white supremacy because it's capitalism involved. It's easy, especially here in America, to keep everybody hopped up on pills. Oh, let me just write you a prescription for your pain. Let me write you a prescription because you're not feeling well. Let me write you a prescription because you're happy. Let me write you a prescription for this. Let me do this. An insurance company, all these hospitals and pharmaceutical companies and medical companies and insurance companies, even with outside of the medical field for cars and houses and stuff, they're just business people. They don't know the first thing about medicine. They don't know the first thing about a car. They don't know the first thing about housing or how to build something. They're just in it to make money. And I can't remember I think my boo told me this because I was talking about car insurance. And I was like, this is ridiculous we were talking about his brother's medical issues, and we were talking about how the insurance always gives you the runaround. We pay monthly for insurance for them to only cover a fraction of it. They do what banks do. They take the money that you pay them or you put in your bank account. They take that to Wall Street, invest it, make a whole bunch of money. Say, for example, you get into a car accident, they got money to outpay you and the people that got injured you know what I'm saying? That's how it rolls. That's that cycle. And it's so crazy because it's all about the white supremacy, the capitalism of it all. If they're not making $1 off you, they don't give a damn. So it's easy to write a prescription because, hey, it's cheap. And we can make billions of dollars because we know you're going to get hooked. We know we can depend on your business. It's all about that. Just like if you've seen that pharmaceutical documentary about Big Pharma and the opioid pandemic and all the other stuff that was going on with Purdue Pharma. And that whole scripted show and that documentary stuff, that was wild. Where they would send out literally people as consultants, like how I was doing for T-Mobile for the back 1 month, where I was just working on commission base, where they're convincing doctors to change prescriptions when this is an easily addictive medicine, and convincing them, come on doctor, sell this in your pharmacy for dirt cheap, and then these people are getting easily addicted to this medication. It's okay, because their pain is subsided or is pushed to the side. We making money. Long as we making money, we okay. And they got sales representatives. Why do you need sales representatives for a medication that's supposed to help people? That doesn't make any sense. And so I made that concept of decision. No, I don't want to do that. And even in the Bible, it talks about therapy. I don't know where, but it says therapy is healthy. You're talking to an outside person, not just for your marriage, not just for your health, not just for life goals, not just for career goals, just for everyday talking is healthy. Getting it out, venting it out. So I'm a big advocate and proponent of it, especially for black people, for if you need medication, get it. But make sure it's accurate. Not just someone easy to just throw it out there for you, because you easily abuse it. Don't become dependent on that medication. If you're able to get on it and try to work through therapy while you're on it and then wean yourself off, I believe that can happen, please do it. But if you do need it, take it, I'm a big proponent of medicine if you need it. But I'm also a big proponent for holistic medicine. I'm a big proponent for therapy, big proponent for religion. And sometimes going to God ain't always the answer, because God has blessed therapists and counselors and psychologists to be on this earth for a reason. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying don't turn to God, but that thing of, just pray about it, you'll be fine. No, I'm not here for that. I don't never, that's one thing I never promote. I promote praying about it, but that thing about faith without work is dead is I'm a huge proponent for that. Which means you got to put in the work. You got to go see a counselor. You got to go talk to somebody. You can't shut things off, And so I talk to myself every day, or I just acknowledge that I'm pissed off, and why I'm pissed off, even though I may cuss for the rest of the damn day and be pissed off and frustrated with the dogs and take out my frustrations out on them or out on the things I'm supposed to do, or don't get homework done when I'm supposed to get it done, being late, things like that, running sleepy time, not want to get out of my bed, just want to stay there and watch TV all day, things like that, or being happy. I waddle in it and I sit in it, and that's not a good thing to do, but it makes me feel, and that's what I want to feel. I'd rather feel horrible and bad than just feel numb or feel like a medication is helping me get, out of bed. Now, do I smoke a little? I do. But that's very few far in between. I don't smoke often because I don't really like the feeling of being intoxicated too much. I like being in a mellow state. And honestly, for me, anytime I've ever smoked weed or drink, it always feels like the very first time, because I'm a lightweight, you can ask people around me, and I got so much on the line, I don't want to risk that, But, but yeah, it's a tough road, y'all, But I'm really glad that I didn't become dependent on that medication. But I think actually my mom is off that off her meds too. But I haven't really talked to her much about it. But I know growing up, I used to always bring her big ass bag to have all of her medications. I'm talking about that little purple thing for your asthma. I started with the N, I think, and then she would have her inhaler, but then you have that. Then she had all her blood pressure pills. She had her sleeping pills. I'm talking about Xanax, Zoloft, for some pain things, because she was having a lot of pain. But also her sleeping pills, which is Ambien. She would get up in the middle of the night. She'd be in the kitchen cooking something, and I'm like, I hear in the kitchen. I wake up. My mom, let's go back to bed. She'd be in there, and then she go back to sleep. And we tell mom, she would wonder when we wake up, we're like, Mom, you did. When she wakes up the next morning, we're like, Mom, you did this. She's like, I don't remember none of that. Really, I was in the kitchen, really doing. I was actually in there frying something or cooking or chopping up something. Yeah, And granted, that is not. That's not any depressive medication or anything, but I am just blessed that I didn't, you know. And I want to let anybody out there know it is a struggle for me daily. Um, Not to be happy, but to feel, you know. But I want to feel. I want to feel everything. I want to feel all the emotions, you know, that I have. You know, I don't, you know, like I said, I wanted you guys to see me in this, to know that there's people out here that are like this. They, you know, just do this. They just want to feel like this, and they want to just tie the shit out of this damn knot. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, and some people want to just do this, and then they want to put on their shades, and then just sit and do this all day. And then there's some people that actually want to, I'm not going to pull this off right now because my hair too, but really, they're, you know, some people just want to sit in their sweats all day. You know, some people want to eat ice cream. Some people want to drink wine, chocolates, and stuff like that. And some people eat, you know, and that's okay. But make sure it's not an addiction type of thing. Make sure you get up, move out. You know what I'm saying? Watch yourself. Therapize yourself. Counsel yourself. Self-affirmations. Tell yourself not just what you need to hear. Not just what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. And don't just say anything out of the sky blue just to try to get over that hump. Be honest with yourself. Go look at you. A lot of times, I don't really think as human civilization, as a society, as, you know, community, we do this as black people. We don't go in that mirror and look pupil to pupil. Don't look at your nose. Don't look at your eyebrows. Oh my God. Look at your pupils. The circles within the, you know, look at that pupil and be honest. And say what you feel about yourself. And then while you, and I'm not talking about with clothes, I'm talking about I get butt ass naked. And I go like this, and I turn and I look, and I, you know, arch my back, and I'm looking at my body, and I say this, and I look at myself, and a lot of times it's a sigh of relief, and I smile, and what I do is when I'm in that mirror, I smile, and I look at myself, and I ask myself, or not even, I ask within my mind internally, am I smiling because I'm just smiling? Because sometimes we just look in the mirror or just smile in a picture, but you can tell somebody's aura is so sad. So sad. You know? And you can tell when someone is just purely sad. Purely. You can tell when they're sad because they're smiling, but behind that smile is pain. So when I'm looking in the mirror and I smile from ear to ear, and I examine the molecules, the atoms, the muscles, and the strength that it took to get to that smile, and I stare at that, and I see, is there hurt in my eyes? Is there hurt in my smile? Or am I truly joy? And at peace, and am I relaxed? Am I exhaling in this smile for relief and peace and mind and wisdom and prosperity and love? Or is it because I'm exhausted? And there are times that I'm exhausted, and today is one of those days. You know? And honestly, right now, I in a sense, I'm trying to push a cry because I want to cry. Even right now. But my body a lot of times won't let me. And it takes a lot to get me to cry because I'm one of those people that build up, that I'll continue to just keep it up, keep. And I may yell and get frustrated, but it'll be that one thing that just breaks the camel's back, and then I'm like on the floor like why don't rest, like, you know. You know, I even had a breakdown one time inside of Sam's of all places, where something tragic happened in my old apartment and complex, and I remember going into the store with my friends, and then I just was so that day I was just done, and it was so poetic because my my friend Betty, she was like, I basically started crying, but the funny thing is I started crying over a pallet jack of water, like at Sam's, you know, 24 packs of water. I have a pallet jack like this high, and I had fucking started crying. I bent over and I started crying, and he's like, and then she's like, you crying? And then like when I was done, she's like, of course Javier's got to be the one to be dramatic and poetic enough to cry over water. You know, how poetic? What's the odds of that? You know, and it was just joking about it, but you know, if I have to have, I've had a mental breakdown at school. I remember after I think it was my civil rights economic class, I was so depressed that day that there was something that happened that day that just broke the camel's back because I was already doing a lot at the age of 16. When I got up, I just fell. Like I just fell and I cried. I cried and I cried and I cried. And it was one of those you know, like one of those cries that you just wail. You just wail and you wail and you wail. And I cried. Cried so much that when they tried to, one of my friends, Asma, tried to pick me up and carry me out of the classroom, I was just wailing and crying. And school had just ended, so then I got to the middle of the hallway where thousands of kids can see me, and I wailed. I wailed in front of all the haters, the people that talk bad about me, the people that said they were my friends, people that are my friends, but I don't talk to them in this present moment. You know, people that were just there for a short period of time, teachers, faculty, administrators, guests, parents. I wailed, you know. And I needed that. I needed that. And there's very few times that I've wailed or I've gotten on, you know, that has happened. But I want to feel all my feels, you know. But this episode, I know it may have sounded a little depressing or sad or whatever, but just know somebody 23 years old, black boy, in college, getting my master's degree, working, you know, got my own companies and things like that, my own corporation enterprises I'm working on and businesses and things like that, and acting and singing and writing and producing, directing and editing and taking care of 7+ dogs with the puppies that the mom just gave birth to again. She gave birth to 9 puppies, and now her daughters now have puppies waiting for her to pop, and dealing with my boo and dealing with family drama and trying to pay bills and trying to you know, push through and sacrifice, you know. And this has helped me. And I know I'm going to go to bed tonight and but I gotta get homework done too. That I haven't gotten done yet. That I'm a week and a half late. That I'm a week late on and a couple of days on a couple other assignments. I'm gonna push through. That's the most thing. I'm gonna get it done. And I'm not gonna fail this. I'm not gonna fail. But just know, I'm going through it, y'all. I'm just going through it. You know, and I just hope somebody else out there, you know, sees this and they'll see that they're going through it. This is my college life. This is my adult life, and I'm only 5 years into the damn thing, and I got a long way to go. But I thank Jehovah, the Creator, God, you, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, man. It's a powerful thing. But I also seek other avenues, scientifically, medically, holistically, mentally, soulfully, outside of that, because then that keeps me one within myself, because I'm the true emperor, president, king, ruler, dictator, anarchist, monarchist of my life, if you understand what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, y'all, that's how it is. And trying to change my, you know, start working out more, you know, want to start I believe in myself, but believe in myself a lot more, you know, trust myself a lot more, because I trust myself, but to a degree, because you know, it's only one thing that can put me somewhere else that it, you know, it should, especially because I have a lot of impulse. My impulsivity runs really deep. I am an impulsive thinker, an impulsive reactor, an impulsive actor, an impulsive person, good and in bad ways. But I love that about me because I never know what I'm going to do next. Um, Make sure I'm drinking a lot more water. You know, just changing up other aspects, trying to get outside more. You know, when I get outside and I'm walking the dogs, it's more so just about time to get and get back in. But now I'm tracking on my Apple Watch, um, you know, my durations and just breathing when I'm outside, looking up at the sky, but just really breathing, just and not one of those, you know what I'm saying? But before I let y'all go, I wanted to give you a fun fact. Her name is Marie Van Britton Brown, and she lived from 1922 to 1999, from my understanding. Hold on. Sorry, hold on. I want to get this factual information. Yes, 1922 to 1999. Her name is Marie Van Britton Brown, and she was an American nurse and an innovator. And in 1966, did y'all know she created and invented with her, alongside her husband Albert Brown, the video home security system? Did y'all know that? So basically, the CCTV footage and cameras that y'all see today outside of businesses, and basically, ADT and Xfinity Home Security and all the other security networks out there and stuff like that. And right now we have Ring. She was the first one to create it, and she got that patent. And from my understanding, she created it so that way she can feel safe when her and her husband were coming home from work. And for their safety, because in the 60s, a lot of people were for blacks, it was just unsafe to be out during that time, no matter where you were. No matter if you was living in Colorado, where I'm from, But let me read this to you. It says, "Black women protect everyone." That's true. Marie Van Britton Brown, a nurse from Jamaica, Queens, New York, hey, was a literal example of that fact. Because of her late schedule, coupled with the odd hours of electronics technician husband, my reading's off. Because of her late schedule, coupled with the odd hours of her electronics technician husband, Albert Brown, she wanted to develop a way to see who was at her door when she was home alone. Together, the two invented the video home security system in 1966. The couple's patent was granted in 1969. Man, if that don't say this is a woman's world and not a man's world, I don't know what will. And if this doesn't tell you that women are the ultimate protectors, the lioness of this great human civilization, the top of this food chain, I don't know what is. But the goal in that regard is to make sure you stay safe, make sure you stay honest and true to yourself, one with yourself and of yourself, and if that is, by yourself. But know that you are not, just because you're alone doesn't make you lonely. There's a huge difference. And it's okay to be alone sometimes. Because technically, in a sense, you're not alone, you're with yourself. It's me, myself, and I. So ride until I die. I was brought into this world by myself. I will be leaving by myself. And one thing I noticed, I remember off this episode, this clip that I saw from Divorce Court. Hey, Judge Lynn Toller. This guy said that when his son died, he told his wife to get over it because he mourns the birth and celebrates the death, which found odd to me. But I understood what he meant there, because especially for a black man, mourning his son because he knew the trials and the tribulations and the struggles he was already going to have to come into this world with just being a black man. And then the fact that he will be gone is so that he'll be relieved from this hell-bound earth that we are in. You get what I'm saying? So I understood that, and I believe in that. But there still should be celebration with a birth and with death, because they're prospering. They're perishing somewhere else beyond the great unknown. And that's one thing we'll be talking about. Hopefully later on in this episode is there, what do you really believe in there's a heaven or not, or things like that. So I have a lot of ideas and stuff I want to talk with y'all about. But this one was on my heart today. I had something else that I wanted to talk with you guys about, but I wanted to get this out because I really needed to. So I thank y'all so much for this. I love y'all. Y'all can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and TikTok at Avir Vassal. And you can follow the show on Facebook and Instagram at The Analytical Eye Show, and on Twitter at iAnalytical. I thank y'all so much. Make sure you stay tuned this Sunday for a new Light of the Sundays, because I am finally back on that too. And I'm going to also be working out some kinks for some other stuff, so make sure y'all stay tuned. I thank y'all so much, Love Village. Thank you so much. And let's continue to talk about things that meet the eye daily, every single day. For the average Joe, because, like I said, we don't got cars. I mean, we got cars, but we ain't got fancy stuff. Not all of us do. And there's 99% of us and only 1% of the other population, if you know what I mean. So, the 1% is the haves and the others are the have-nots. But really, do they all have the haves if they're the 1%? Because sometimes being in that 1% doesn't mean you have all the haves. Sometimes you have nots. You see what I did there? But cheers, y'all. Thank you so much. I'll see you next Wednesday. The Analytical Eye Show is presented by Analytical Eye Productions, a AAVR company.